This is Marco Reus.
This is Shinji Kagawa.
This is Nuri Shahin.
Hello, this is Jadon Sancho.
And you're listening to the Yellow Wall podcast.
Hello and welcome to episode 400 of the Yellowwallpod. I'm your host Stefan Butzko, and today we will talk about Borussia Dortmund's great, exciting week in the Bundesliga and the terrible, horrible, no good, very bad day in the Champions League. For all that and more, joins me Konstantin Egner. Hello Konstantin, how are you doing after yesterday's great result?
Hello. Yeah, thanks for the applause. Stefan, how is it going?
I'm not sure how I feel about you having a soundboard now too.
Yeah, I have one. Well. What can I do with this little thing here? Oh, it's actually not little. It's actually like half the size of my table, but that's a different story for a different time. Hi, Stefan. Yeah, I mean, the people are excited about me being on the show. Maybe they are not as excited about Dortmund's recent outing in La Champions League.
I don't know. I feel like that's a little presumptive, but I feel like you were half right at least.
Half right, yeah, I know.
I don't know. Maybe some people don't like the Champions League. So, yeah. All right. So, obviously, we need to talk about the Champions League, but I like chronology. So, let's talk about what happened on the weekend. And I guess the narrative starts on Friday when Bayern fell 2-1 away to FC Augsburg. I think we watched with malicious glee on the previous episode, realizing, Matthias and I, that is, that Bayern had to play on a Friday after the international break, which is never nice. And playing on a Friday night away to Augsburg after an international break is always tough. And they did take the L, and that meant Dortmund could cut down the lead in the Bundesliga table to 1 point and allow Dortmund fans to dream a little, just a little, but nevertheless, it's nice. Dortmund actually didn't choke. They converted and came away with 3 points, a goal from Marco Reus in the 85th minute. Let's talk about it, Konstantin. And I don't know where you want to start, but maybe with the first half, which of course was scoreless. What are you making of Dortmund and Stuttgart playing a very nitty-gritty game?
I guess it was as expected in a way that they played this kind of almost to a stalemate. Although, I mean, Stuttgart, they had at least the shots when it comes to getting something on target. So I had a little bit of a bad gut feeling because although Stuttgart, they had struggled before this match because Matarazzo has changed personnel a couple of times, and I don't know, he's doing a lot of things and trying out a lot of things, but nothing's really sticking right now. I still like a bad gut feeling at first, at least, given that Stuttgart can be like a high press team. Can be quite intense, at least for 60 minutes or so. So I wasn't really sure about it. I liked the slight change in midfield with front a little bit higher and Bellingham a little bit deeper and these little kinds of things that I hope to see from Marco Reus, of course. So why I wasn't really excited about the first half, despite Dortmund having a lot of possession and looking halfway decent. I don't know. Just one of these matches where I thought all right, any minute Stuttgart will score and then it might become a S show. So, I know, but that's not really analytical. It's more kind of watching Borussia Dortmund, especially home matches for many years now. And especially in the past few years, I don't know, like it was like the perfect storm for Dortmund, conceding a goal and then, trailing, not really coming back, taking risks, and then maybe conceding another goal. Luckily, it didn't happen, but there were a few moments in the first half where I was like, uh-oh.
Yeah, there were a couple of moments where Stuttgart came really close to scoring, and I think Gregor Kobel had to make one really outstanding save where Akanji was beaten to a header, basically. I don't know who took the shot in the end. Might have been Koulibaly. I think you're right in this regard, especially the games where visitors were not allowed in during the pandemic, which is obviously still going on. But at least that stint, I think Dortmund, at least at home, laid a couple of eggs. And if it's close like this, you feel like a lapse in concentration and one good counterattack can always kill you, or as we've seen in the Sporting match, one long ball can do the trick. For this game, though, obviously Rafael Guerreiro was back as left back, and I think that really helped. You could see the instant shift in Dortmund's static, and I'm honest with you. I thought that it calmed down the Dortmund side a little bit. They managed to overload the left side together with Hazard every now and then, and managed to get Royce and Meunier on the right side that way. So I think there were some, promising signs, but obviously that's just not the time or the game where you would expect Dortmund to really dazzle anyone. To be honest, we're late in November, and this is how football games look these days, especially with the amount of injuries you have. And, Torgan Hazard wasn't really, isn't to full fitness yet. Guerreiro played, I think, 65 minutes and then picked up the next injury at the warm-up to the Sporting game. So it's really not going well at all. But I think the big positive here, first of all, is that Malen finally broke his Bundesliga duck. Took him long enough. Was a nice assist from Guerreiro, which once again highlights how better Dortmund are combining around the box when the opponent is sitting deep, because that was a neat pass and Malen was wide open, and obviously he had a little bit of luck too, because Hiroki Ito deflected it so that Florian Müller couldn't really save that ball. But before that, I think he already had a really good chance where he had a header and a couple other opportunities that he created for himself. And to me, I think this was Malen's best performance in the Dortmund shirt so far, especially because he worked very hard for it. How did you see it?
Yeah, I guess. There were a couple of recent performances that were all right. If you cut out all the aspect of scoring goals, because that's kind of his job. I think he's a much better worker, I would say, than I actually expected, because I've watched him many times playing for PSV in the Eredivisie or internationally, but especially in the Netherlands, and he didn't come across like a big time workhorse. more like someone who's really good at scoring goals and really finding these pockets and drifting behind the line and timing his runs perfectly and all these kinds of things, and being really ruthless inside the box, and also being able to coming from the wing or getting through the half space and not really being this center forward. So I wasn't really sure about his work rate, but he somewhat surprised me recently. I think he noticed and acknowledged that he has to work a lot because he doesn't really score goals, and in order to be part of the team and be valued right now, with having so low scoring or not really any scorers on his credit account, I guess he really put on his working boots. So that's what I liked. Also, especially against Stuttgart, he made many runs that didn't lead to anything, but still he made them, which is good, I think, because there are some players who, like Jadon Sancho, sometimes, he sometimes just didn't make the run because he was thinking it doesn't lead to anything, so I don't care. Malen often tries to run behind the line, even if there's a slim chance that he will actually get the ball, or he drifts to one side and tries to stretch the defense and stuff like that. So that's what I like. I think he was a little bit more, or he was somewhat cleaner, more clinical, maybe inside the box. Not only when it came to the goal, in a few instances, when he also played a nice pass or so inside or around the box, close to the goal, in some fashion. So yeah, I think it was a good performance, better performance overall, I guess, than we saw before. But I think he at least convinced me recently in a couple of matches that he tries his best.
Yeah, I think
when it comes to strikers. Sorry?
I think that's a positive development, because there were many games where you wouldn't think that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's really hard, because when it comes to strikers, especially like center strikers, you want him to be clinical, to score goals, to do their main job. And like if you are Erling Haaland and you score a lot of goals, then you can maybe get away with a few things that are not really that good, or a couple of sloppy things. When you are in a position like Marlins right now, where don't really score goals, I think you have to offer something else at least. And I mean, in a different context, but I mean, that's what Stefan Tigges does also, right? I mean, he barely scores any goals, and he will be a big time goal scorer on that level for Borussia Dortmund. But at least he works hard and tries to be a pressing striker, so to say, at least something like that. And I think with Marlon, he acknowledged that he just can't get by with just scoring goals, which he sometimes did in Eindhoven, to be honest. I mean, he worked not as hard, but he scored a lot of goals. He sometimes came in at halftime also, scored 2 goals, and his team won. So I mean, there wasn't any necessity to really work hard, because he was still the man of the match at the end. So yeah. I liked his performance against Stuttgart, and good for him that he scored there. And I know it's like kind of it doesn't really matter, but he also scored against Sporting, which is at least something.
Yeah, no, it's good, to score in back-to-back games one way or another for his confidence. At least personally, I think it helps. And Marco Rose said after the game about Marlon's performance, the entire game makes me very optimistic, because he was very active off and on the ball. He put himself into the situations to score a goal. He set a benchmark in many areas for himself. Obviously, there's room for improvement. Today, he didn't wait for moments to happen for him, but made them happen, and that's the difference. So I think that's a very concise statement that obviously sums up his performance well. What I did like about his work rate, obviously, is that he got 2 interceptions, and I think both were like sliding tackles where he just sort of snuffed out the ball away from the defender, and I think that's obviously something that catches the eye. But if there's one area I think he still significantly has to improve, is the way he presses opponents, because over his 88 minutes he had 10 pressures, and that doesn't really rank very high. Just for comparison, Stefan Tigges, as you just mentioned, as a pressing striker, I think he played for 16 minutes and he had 11 pressures. So obviously not that high, but I'll take it. I'll take any improvement. I think it's very timely, because Dortmund did need that goal, and I think scoring the opening goal was the absolute key to win this game, even though Stuttgart equalized 6 minutes later or so. Roberto Massimo with a really nice goal, I think. Left Hummels for that, but if you really want to talk about the chain of mistakes in this game, I feel like it starts with Julian Brandt playing sort of an eject pass to Akanji, who then dribbles forward and loses the ball there, and then isn't there to recover. I think Guerrero has a little slip too, and Hummels covers the wrong shooting boot, if you will, because Massimo obviously put the ball on his other foot, and there's not much Kobel can do, to be honest, but it's usually the norm as Dortmund concede. But what I found positive, and let's juxtapose this with what happened after Dortmund conceded the first goal against Sporting, is what I liked is that Dortmund didn't really fall apart instantly, because sometimes I feel like them conceding gives them a psychological blow, which then they really start swimming at the back. And this time it wasn't so. Emre Can came on as a left back right away for the tired Guerrero. And, I think he had an okay game as a left back. It's not, you wouldn't expect a world-class performance, but he did bring some dynamism. So I guess that's good. And then of course, it was... when all is said and done, I think it's just very positive that Dortmund didn't concede from a corner kick, but instead turn it into a counterattack. And, Hazard and Reus driving up the ball, good run by Hazard. And then Reus was very lucky to be at the right place at the right time to tap the ball in. But, 3 big points in the overall context of the Bundesliga, especially because other teams around Dortmund did lose too. I don't know if you want to count Freiburg, but Leipzig, who have been praised so much after their win against Dortmund, fell very flat in Hoffenheim, and Wolfsburg had a 2-2 draw. Our next opponents, obviously, in the Bundesliga against Bielefeld. So there's at least some distance now between 5th place and I think fans took more notice now about getting closer to Bayern, because the Yellow Wall was obviously chanting zieht den Bayern die Lederhosen aus, and then followed it up when they celebrated with the team with the old Wer wird Deutscher Meister chant, and answered it with BVB Borussia. So this is something, Konstantin, we haven't heard in a while from Dortmund fans, to be honest. For one reason is that many haven't been there in a while, and the other reason being is that Dortmund just not often in the title race. And I feel like it was a spark of hope that was created. I don't know how much this is worth in the end. Dortmund's performances certainly doesn't shout title race at you, but at least if you look at the table, for now there's a chance. Dortmund have to go through Wolfsburg first before they can get at Bayern, but it's something to hold on to. How do you assess this situation? Are Dortmund fans correct in, hoping for some tension at the very top of the Bundesliga?
First of all, I also, like you, I like the different atmosphere, so to say, because most of these post closed door game, behind closed door matches, whatever, ghost game matches, ghost game era matches, you know what I mean. When fans returned, most of these home games were quite mellow in comparison to maybe before pandemic time. Atmosphere was all right, but it wasn't really the typical Signal Iduna, or should we say Westfalenstadion atmosphere. So I liked it that there was a little bit more fire inside the stadium. On the other hand, I don't really like it that it's really dependent on the table and the situation in terms of the championship race. I guess people shouldn't expect too much. Still, in a perfect world, a win against Stuttgart and Bayern losing and Bayern having some struggles and internal battles with because of the corona vaccination situation, and then also Qatar and so on, you might think, all right, that gives Dortmund a little bit of an extra boost to maybe challenge Bayern, but then you turn around and lose in the Champions League. So in a perfect world, they also would have beaten Sporting,
or at least gonna draw something.
Yeah, or something. Yeah, at least, be somewhat successful or keep your chances alive to get to the next round in Champions League, and not losing decisively in a way. So
yeah, it's funny. You had me on it in Twitter Spaces pre-game, and you asked me about my emotional state, and I was like, my honest answer would have been, I really hate that it's Champions League right now, because I would want to enjoy the high from the Bundesliga match day a little longer. And it all came crashing down, to be honest.
Yeah, of course. That's kind of what happens, right? It's I mean, it would have been better to just play Bundesliga on Wednesday again, I think. Just having another Bundesliga match on Wednesday against someone who cares against whom? Getting the Bundesliga rolling, and now it's like really a start-stop situation with Borussia Dortmund. When we really talk about the more emotional and psychological side right now. Well, we will see. I'm not sure. I think there was a little bit of fire inside the stadium. Figuratively speaking, there was a fire inside the stadium against Stuttgart, but I don't know how much is still there. And now you have an away match against Wolfsburg, which is kind of all right. not really great. But still, there's like Bayern match looming, so at least there's something.
Yeah.
It's just hard to say. It's really this season. It's really start stop. You have a couple of decent performances, but I remember, the Leipzig match was kind of a downer, but I also remember the Gladbach match, for instance. You got a couple of wins before that. I think 4 in a row.
That's correct.
Close wins still. Sometimes defensively there were some issues. Still, you had these wins in your pocket, and then you have essentially a non-performance against Gladbach.
Yeah, it was a terrible day at the office that you can't even really explain where it came from. Dortmund were just horrid in this game.
Yeah, but that's the problem, right? That's a problem, right? You have some all right performances, and then you have something like against Leipzig, for instance, which was 45 minutes. It was like the biggest crap ever.
That's true.
So it's really so I think a lot of fans, where they just think about like having success at Dortmund, being a successful team, not being like passionate about the club itself, but being passionate about having success. I think a lot of fans are right now are really hesitant about the team. I think let's wait and see how things go because they don't really trust the team right now.
Yeah, let's see where the chips may fall. I think that overall is a good approach right now, because with this Dortmund team, you really not know what will come next, especially all the wildcard injuries, if you will. Because if we talk about the Sporting game, which we should do now, because I don't have that much time. It's Thanksgiving here in the United States, and obviously my little basement room where I record is right underneath the kitchen. So if you hear any yelling or any other stuff from upstairs, that's just my half Italian family talking to each other. So don't be concerned.
There you go.
So let's try to wrap things up. Also, because I don't really want to talk about this freaking game that much, because I just want to forget about it, to be honest. But I must say, I thought the first half hour was very positive. We've talked about minimizing errors. I thought Dortmund did this up until the errors very well.
All right, they survived until they died. So, great stuff.
Yeah, but you can lose your crap already before the 33rd minute or whatever. And, considering there was Ranier in midfield, you had Schulz starting as a sort of surprise starter. Also Schulz just coming back from injury. He's not really in form either. Ranier, first Champions League start, someone you don't expect anything from to begin with, let alone in the Champions League. It was okay. Dortmund didn't really perform on the highest level, but I thought they did their job okay. And considering this was a patchwork team, Hummels was suspended too. You had half a new backline, basically midfield mixed up. I thought they did sort of what they had to do, and it's very unfortunate that this sort of effort is completely outdone by one long punt by the center back, which was just sort of trying to free themselves, and a horrible moment by Nico Schulz, to be honest. And Pongracic should have speculated that his teammate wouldn't get to the ball, but he didn't. And Dortmund were instantly punished for it. And then what happened is that they collapsed even more. Then Sporting, I think Marco Reus actually said it best, that Sporting were basically shook and nowhere in the game, and all of a sudden they're very much in the game, and Dortmund have to ride waves of pressure. And I think there was a really good and vital block by Witzel, but there's only so much you can do. And then, of course, I think was it Rainier who lost his marker. Again, when Pedro Gonçalves scored the second one, it's within 9 minutes and you were 2-0 down. I don't know what to say about this game, Konstantin, but the first half is so vexing because it just feels so needless, and we can talk about all the injuries and all the problems Dortmund do have, but even that still feels very self-inflicted.
Yeah, it does. I know what to make of it. I mean, of course, in a way, you and I and a couple of other people, Dortmund fans, we had the Twitter spaces before the match, and I think we were quite positive all. And I think I even received a couple of messages afterwards from people saying that maybe we were too positive. And they said it to me before actually Dortmund conceded the first goal. So I don't know, maybe we were. But also we didn't see that Rafa Guerrero had to be dropped from the starting 11 because it happened like a couple of minutes before that. But I mean, to be honest, when I saw the tweet that Nico Schulz will be in the starting 11 and Rafa Guerrero will be dropped, I mean, I don't know. I like my feeling was like.
It was certainly like, here we go. it totally was.
Yeah, here we go now. Here we go again. What was the alternative? It was Emre Can. And so I was really sure. I was like, okay, maybe it won't matter that Nico Schulz will play in the Jose Alvala. Maybe it won't, maybe there. But then I don't know. Then I watched Sporting. Was like, that could be an issue. Actually, a big one down the road. I mean, yeah, the first 30 minutes, as you said, were all right. I think the two center backs stood quite deep in build up, just for a reason to be as far away from any kind of pressing as they could, to don't feel any pressure and stuff like that, which is okay, I guess, because Pongracic had that horrible performance against Leipzig, so I guess he had to recover from that a little bit psychologically. So there was that, but with time and time, you felt like, and then it actually happened when Schulz and Pongracic had a little misunderstanding there. That.
Yeah, they didn't know where the ball was going. They misunderstood the ball.
No, it was like really Sunday League, like tremendous.
You know what the most annoying part is though, because we have coined the phrase or term "sad pieces" on this podcast, obviously, but I think Dortmund have been outdone by simple long balls a million times, and I think the most painful one was obviously the one that led to Ian Robben's very late goal in the Champions League final. But boy, there have been so many instances where, the opponent just punts it and all of a sudden everything just goes aflame and there's chaos and sparks are flying and I don't know, it's so unnecessary.
It's really... and... No, it really is an issue in a way, because... these are the easiest kinds of situations on paper. I know long balls can be kind of tricky, especially if you play with a medium high line. I don't know what to call it, but it was really a high line, and like Bayern or something. Was medium high. Midway high. No, but really, you see something like that, you think. Can happen, of course, even on high level, League One, top tier level, whatever, Champions League level. But on the other hand, you think if you make these kinds of mistakes and you look that amateurish, maybe you don't deserve to get to the knockout stages of the Champions League.
No, absolutely not.
Because that's something you expect from. Name a lower level name. I don't know. I don't want to insult anyone. Like I don't know, Dinamo Zagreb or something.
Yeah, I don't even know if I would expect this from anyone in the Champions League, to be honest. Because that really is an egregious mistake, and it's almost poetic justice for Michael Zorc that one of his worst transfers of all time, Nico Schulz, the 25 million euro grave, as we would call it in Germany, is the one committing this error, because it just goes to show how important player recruitment is, and not throwing money out of the window. And the sad part here is, and I'm not the biggest Marius Wolf fan in terms of Michael Zorc's recruitments, but at least my feeling is, had Wolf been fit to play in this game and not Schulz, this wouldn't have happened. He has been way more solid than that. Obviously it's not easy for Schulz, since he has been injured for a long time as well, because why would anyone be fit? But yeah, still, this is a comical error, and that obviously you can pin this on Schulz, but what you cannot pin on Schulz is that Dortmund then collectively had brain flatulence for like 10 minutes straight, ending and climaxing, if you will, in the second goal from Sporting, which maybe was a little bit of a lucky shot, but maybe you also don't have completely inexperienced players like Ranier running around like headless chicken and not realizing that there's maybe someone you can mark. It was pretty glaring, and I don't know if you want to blame the coach for it or the recruitment, but it's just a combination of bad decisions that were done in the instant and done in the long term. So that's sort of the things that annoy me the most about this game, is that there's so much coming together of things you can't really be blamed for and things you can absolutely be blamed for. And so Dortmund will have to play Europa League now.
Great. I mean, in a way, maybe it is for the better. I don't know, getting humiliated by Man City or something in the round of 16 in Champions League might not be that great, actually.
I don't know, but what's great? 15 million euros is great.
Of course. But on the other hand, it really, the entire game against Sporting, much more in my opinion than the Ajax matches, especially. I mean, the first one was kind of also horrendous in phases, but the second one was really shaped and influenced by the red card against Mats Hummels, ridiculous red card. But the match against Sporting, against a team that has some talent, there are some good players, great players, some who will probably move to Spain or England quite soon. But you really have, they are not really an outstanding team. And on the other hand, you have Dortmund with Nico Schulz and even Pongracic in a way, and Emre Can also, who cost a lot of money. And you got all these players, even Julian Brandt sometimes, I don't know. And you got all these players, and they are okay, they are good, but it's not enough, I guess, and like it really shows you what you just said about player recruitment. And Dortmund has to be much better when it comes to signings and really signing players who fit, but also players who are capable of performing at a high level for the next 2, 3, 4 years, which sometimes you have like the feeling that they are signed right at the point when they are dropping off. So yeah, really, it might really be a sign towards Dortmund's leadership that they have to do something else and they have to change things. They are great at detecting young talent, but when it comes to like mature talent, they are not. And also one last point maybe on the Sporting disaster is Marco Rose is also kind of Marco Rose has morphed into kind of one of the Dortmund players in a way, because he doesn't really make any crucial mistakes, right? I mean, he never really makes like mistakes where you think like, oh my god, what did he do there? He completely fumbled the game or something, but he also seldom stands out with anything, I don't know, surprising, clever, creative. It's like,
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe
I agree. It's like a big ball of meh.
He doesn't really make any mistakes, right? I mean, he doesn't really. It's never like he hasn't really lost a match.
No, it's
where I think like the coach was kind of. There wasn't any match this season so far where you thought, all right, the coach was responsible for defeat. No. But it's also kind of, has he won any matches with like kind of a smart mid-game adjustment or something? No.
So yeah, I don't know what to make of all this, Konstantin, to be honest, because This is obviously a dent in the status of Marco Rose. Dortmund were, after all, the number one seed in this Champions League group, and I think everyone, after seeing the draw, expected Dortmund to be either first or second, but third place kind of feels unacceptable. And yes, they were obviously plagued by a million injuries, and with the full fit squad, I think the story is very different. But you know, that all being said, it's still just a very frustrating period right now in terms of the football that it's actually played. Because yes, we can all rave about Dortmund getting a lot of results in the Bundesliga right now against Stuttgart and whatnot, but at the same point, there's not the sort of development you want to see. You know, which I guess to a certain extent is understandable, but what I'm trying to say is I can't tell you if someone asks me, hey, what is the coaching philosophy of Marco Rose? What is his plan and his idea for Borussia Dortmund? What it is, I can't tell you because I don't think we have really seen it yet. And that's a bit of a shame. Obviously, what I did appreciate is the diamond formation, because in general, Dortmund have struggled, especially under Favre, to build from the back quite a lot, especially the first moments of build-up. You know, I talked about it yesterday a little bit, where you pass it over to a fullback and then you have no exit strategy from there. I think that has improved a little bit when the diamond is enacted, because there are more channels open where you can pass it through the middle, and those are a couple of details I think have improved somewhat somewhere at some point, but obviously we haven't seen the diamond recently that often. We have seen a back four or a back five, and we have seen a 4-3-3 and all kinds of other stuff. So I feel like right now it's more about trying to save yourself into the winter break and then maybe work a little bit more on what you actually want to do. So Konstantin, while I just voiced sort of my general frustrations before we talk about the second half shit show of this game, maybe you can help me zoom out a little and either explain to me what the plan really is, or explain to me why it's not working.
Just in general, the entire plan?
Yeah, just like the I don't know, the rough idea of what Marco Rose's football you think, according to Marco Rose, is supposed to look like. I know it's not the easiest question to ask, but
yeah, that's kind of, and that's why I just said about Marco Rose. He doesn't really make any like crucial mistakes or like obvious blatant mistakes or something. But he's like kind of right now at least he's like kind of the Julian, maybe not, maybe the who might be a better example, like the Manuel Akanji of coaching in a way, or. I don't know. I can't really find anyone, but he doesn't really make like big mistakes or something. But you don't have really an idea what he actually has to offer.
I think he has a good baseline, but I just don't see a high ceiling right now. If that makes sense.
Yeah, but that's also the thing when I look back at Gladbach last year. And I think that was kind of the same, that Gladbach, they played okay football for the most part. Sure, they lost a few matches, but when it went up against really, big teams also, but then you can still point to individual quality and discrepancies. But there wasn't also really a clear-cut idea. And right now, what I don't like about Borussia Dortmund football is they don't really have a high press, although they play like 3 or 4 players up front, but they are pressing at the halfway line or somewhere, or just covering space, doing a little bit man-to-man and covering a lot of space. And that's about it. There's no pressure. There's no forcing the opposing team towards one side, forcing them into certain zones, doing something like that, which a lot of teams do nowadays, actually. Then another thing I don't like about Dortmund is it build up plays. Many teams now in the Bundesliga and elsewhere play with at least one fullback deeper. Dortmund really doesn't do that. I mean, Meunier is like, he runs straight forward no matter what. He has improved a little bit, and he doesn't do it as much as he did in the past still. And Schulz, I don't know, he lost course, I guess.
Put him on the export list and be done with that subject.
Yeah, it's really kind of that. So, but I don't really know what like Marco Rose football looks like. Funnily enough, it looks like a little bit of a more of a less risk averse Lucien Favre football in some way. Slightly less risk averse Lucien Favre football, and that's kind of it. There is. I mean, actually, if we're honest, like there could also be Edin Terzic at the sideline, and I wouldn't really, be surprised.
Yeah. I have to agree with you, to be honest. So
I know what his idea is. I don't know if he wants to play fast. I don't know if he wants to have a good counter press. I don't know if he wants to have a high press that works against the ball and forces opponents to the wings or something. I don't know if the build-up should go through the center backs or through the full backs or through Witsel or through maybe Bellingham. I don't know. You see everything and anything and nothing, basically, during the matches. I don't sometimes know what Marco Reus' role is. I mean, he plays well, don't get me wrong. It's more about like what his role is. Yesterday, I wasn't really sure what Julian Brandt's role was, because sometimes he was more in the middle, then he was more on the wing, then he was really outside and was nowhere close to to anywhere where maybe danger could be. Jude Bellingham, first half, all right, but not really, nothing going on there. Second half, all of a sudden you are like pushing the team forward like Leon Goretzka style or something. Is it do the players just do their own thing? And because sometimes look like that, right?
Yeah.
Like with Julian Brandt, sometimes he does just his own stuff.
Yeah. No, I mean, I don't know if it was the Cologne game or so where Dortmund pressed like really hard and really well for like 2 minutes, and then it just ran out of steam. And I think Rose sort of talked about this. So maybe if this team was capable of it, they would press high, but maybe they just don't have the legs and the minds for it. I don't know. I really don't. I think he can only ask Rose that, and he may or may not answer, to be honest. But yeah, we have to wrap things up very soon. So let's talk about the second half and the red card situation. And this is obviously, I don't know if you need to give a red card. I think this was a bad call to make. But here are a couple of thoughts I have on that. The number one is, if anyone deserved the red card in this entire ordeal, probably it was Akanji, because I thought he punched the guy in the stomach. So he was down on the floor, and then I don't know if it was Emre Can or not who decided to not play the ball out of play, and that was already I don't know if it was a dumb idea, but it got emotions high. And then obviously what Pedro Porro did was, in my view, very dirty. He certainly did, kick Emre Can. And the next problem is just that Emre Can is a very highly tempered guy, and I'm pretty sure that in the preparation to this game, the coach put his picture on the flipboard and wrote whatever fucking idiot means in Portuguese, and just say, provoke this clown and he'll make a mistake. And this is exactly what happened. So I'm not gonna say Emre Can deserved to be sent off here, but it was still extremely stupid and extremely unnecessary. The entire situation was just childish and unnecessary. Yeah. And I think Dortmund just got shithoused there. And this must just not happen, because Emre Can was really just signed for his experience for the Champions League. I think Watzke or Zorc, any of those, talked about this when he was signed, that him being a veteran is supposed to help, especially in the high-profile games. And I think Emre Can has shed the bed so fucking hard that it's just really annoying. And I've said it before in this podcast, I just don't want him in a Dortmund shirt anymore. I'm just tired of it. And that's end of rant, because just forget about it. It didn't work out. He's probably paid way too much money for the performances he's showing, and on top of that, you always have to worry about him either making a weird mistake or something really freaking stupid. So yeah, there's that. Now you can talk.
Yeah,
about
totally.
it.
I mean, we don't have to prolong anything, but yeah, totally. I'm not impressed by Emre Can one way or another. I mean, I don't know what he does in the locker room or on the training pitch or whatever. I mean, that's kind of all right, but you have other people to, do that. I mean, I don't know, maybe Alex Ziegler, who is one of the assistant coaches, might be a good leader or so, like a good locker room talker or so. Or Marco Reus probably also
I don't
can
think
talk
Emre
to the
Can
locker room.
is really that essential right now. I'll be honest.
Yeah, and like Gregor Kobel, like he kind of gives me the vibe of someone who likes to take a little bit of responsibility. Also because he doesn't really make any big mistakes or barely any mistakes. So he can also, if he gives some instructions to other teammates, that's all right. I mean, he has to be respected at this point. So yeah, I don't know what to make of Emre Can. He has like this kind of, I don't let people get to me attitude, or no. Actually, it's different. It's like kind of this I don't take any crap attitude, which is okay. But keep in mind, like if you let yourself be provoked and then do something, you might be sent off or whatever. And also, I mean, apart from the red card, I just he comes on, of course, bloody bad situation. Still, he comes on, and then he tries to, I don't know, take over the wheel, so to say, for like 5-6 minutes. It doesn't really work out, and then he just becomes another player on the field.
Yeah, he tried to dribble through all of Sporting, basically.
Yes. Yeah, but only for the first 5, 6, 7 minutes or
then
something.
He ran out
And
of
then,
steam.
Yeah, but also you notice probably that, that doesn't really work here. All right, that I just let me just be another ordinary left back. Okay, I just hide in the bushes like Homer Simpson or something, and then all of a sudden, like, he gets sent off, and I don't really like it, and I think his spot could be occupied by a younger player who's hungry and who doesn't get half the salary that Emre Can gets, and so on. Like there are people, there are options you can probably sign or promote or whatever, and not use Emre Can. And I think as opposed to maybe Axel Witsel. Yeah, I know Axel Witsel also hasn't really played that well in recent times, but still, at least he has earned some standing in the team because of some performance or because of many performances he had in the past.
Well, Axel Witsel for us isn't a total moron. So let's...
No, of course not. I mean, he's just a little bit too slow. A little bit, he has lost some agility, and he knows it. I mean, I don't think he. I mean, he realizes that he's kind of slow. He tries his best. What can he do? I mean, if you are getting older, he has
a higher footballing IQ. I still think he reads the game rather well, and he does make mistakes, yes, but it's different. It's different.
Of course, I mean, I still like Axel Witsel, the player. It's just a situation where he wasn't really fast to begin with. He wasn't really agile 10 years ago or so, and of course he has gotten considerably slower at this point.
Yeah, but that being
he
said,
still can read the game.
That being said, I also think that Witzel's peak is mountains higher than Emre Can's was. So maybe I don't know, but that's my opinion. But we have to move on. Like, Dortmund have to move on from Emre Can. Because I'm running out of time here. So quickly, the Zagadou penalty, which I guess was really unfortunate, because had Dortmund not conceded a penalty there was always this hope to still score this one goal, which they eventually did, and then maybe blow out Besiktas and hope for Ajax doing something special against Sporting in the other game on the final match day. But finally, with this penalty, all hope was taken away. Obviously, the challenge itself was a bit clumsy, and it's once again speaks volumes that you have to rely on Dan-Axel Zagadou on a absolutely crucial Champions League match in a very crucial phase of the game. I think he came on in the 66th minute for Ranier, and it just didn't really work out, to be honest. Let's be honest, but my expectation is also, if you were bringing on Zagadou and Tigges with 25 minutes to go to sort of win back the game, I think you've already sort of lost And what actually annoys me more than giving away the penalty was letting then Pedro Porro score, because Porro just reacted quicker to it, and Zagadou was just sort of ball watching. I feel like in general the BVB in BVB stands for ball watching very badly. in this game.
I don't know if that rolls off smoothly off the tongue, but it's okay.
Yeah, well, whatever. It's just very annoying that they were just so slow in their minds as well. You know, Ranier for the 2-0 and then Zagadou for the 3-0, if you will. Obviously, Porro has quicker legs, but then you need to give yourself a couple of meters to time the shot or the run into the box a little bit better if you're Zagadou. I think these are just tiny little details that also decide games, and very annoying. And with that, Dortmund playing the Europa League next season or next year rather, and that's all I have to say about it. Because I'm still a bit annoyed. Maybe Dortmund win the Europa League as they have never done before, but I'll be honest, I'm not feeling that either. I'm just more pissed that we have to watch games on Thursdays now, because this is usually when I record the podcast, so I have to remodel everything. And then, of course, a lot of games are on Sunday when I like to watch Formula 1. So, this is all a big annoyance to me, and I am not happy. So please have that noted at the highest ranks of the club that Stefan Buczko is disappointed and annoyed. So anyway, we have like 3 or 4 minutes left, Konstantin, to discuss the upcoming game against VfL Wolfsburg, who obviously have rebounded since appointing Florian Kohfeldt after Marc van Bommel was the first one to get booted out of the Bundesliga. So what can we say about Wolfsburg, who I think lost their game in Sevilla?
Yeah, they lost their game in Sevilla, and they drew with Arminia Bielefeld, who's also not kind of... They also actually were behind 2 goals against Bielefeld, so... they are not a frightening side or anything. There was a little bit of an boost after Kohfeldt came in. I still think there's one like minor thing we have to keep in mind. Wolfsburg, they have strong wing players. Riedle Baku, first and foremost. Renato Steffen can be one. Otavio to some extent. So they are, or Luca Bacchio maybe if he comes through the left or right side. So I think like Dortmund's vulnerability on the wings can be a bit of an issue against Wolfsburg. I think that's the biggest issue. And also long balls. I mean, Wout Weghorst, Wolfsburg center forward, since he is, I don't know, 7 feet tall or anything. I don't know. He looks like it. He's not, but you know, you get it. He's very tall and very physical. So there is a bit of might be a bit of an issue there with Dortmund's defensive vulnerabilities. We will see. Riedle Baku will come over the right side. Maybe against Emre Can, I don't know. Depends a little bit on the Guerrero situation. So, there are some points where I'm concerned that maybe Dortmund will concede goals. And that would be difficult then to come back. You can score against Wolfsburg, of course, but, you know, with the Sporting match and everything and if you really have like a few downers in the first half, can you really bounce back from that? I don't know. So, other than that, I think Dortmund is the better team. Should win. We will see.
Yeah. So, what are you making of Lukas Nemcha, obviously, who is the leading goal scorer for Wolfsburg with 5 goals? I think he just had his first Germany A-team call-up. So, is that someone Dortmund have to worry about more than like the Weghorsts or the Bakus of the world?
No, Mecha is okay. It's hard to say really. It was disappointing when he played for Germany recently, because he had a couple of goal scoring opportunities, really botched it there, overpaced also a little bit, maybe because it was his first match and you know, stuff like that. Maybe a little bit too excited about the whole thing. he is more of a ground-based striker, so to say, although he's also not small or short or anything, but he's a bit more of a ground-based winger striker hybrid type of player. He usually plays behind Weghorst, or a little bit behind Weghorst, and Wout Weghorst is up front as the really tall, lengthy player for aerial duels, and Mecha is more kind of the player who picks up these balls. So Dortmund has to focus on Weghorst, of course, but if they really realize that they can't really win against Weghorst in the air, which probably is the case, then they might have to cover Mecha so that Mecha can't pick up the layoffs. Might be actually a smart strategy to really cover Mecha as tightly as possible, so he can't really pick up any layoffs from Weghorst. Because winning aerials against Weghorst, good luck with that. He even as a striker, he wins the majority of his aerial duels, which normally a striker doesn't do, because
because of
as you can imagine.
Yes.
As you can imagine. So it's kind of like maybe you just give up and don't really try and just cover all the layoff options around the Weghorst, and there's Mecha as like the first target for Weghorst's header layoffs.
Yeah, it's obviously interesting because Dortmund historically, I don't know how long their winning streak is, but I think against Wolfsburg, it's the longest ongoing one of consecutive wins. But I'm not really too sure about Dortmund going into this game about the form. Now, obviously, we saw glimpses of Dahoud being back. I don't know if he'll feature in the starting lineup. Might probably come too soon. Obviously, Mats Hummels is a bit better rested now, so at least in that regard, it's helpful. Otherwise, it's good for Dortmund to have a whole week between that game and the Bayern game, so they can at least rest up a little bit. But this is obviously crucial for multiple things. First of all, it's crucial for the overall tension in the Bundesliga, because if Dortmund don't win this, there's not much they will be able to do against Bayern either, to be honest. And the second part is you need those points, because there's a good chance you're not getting any against Bayern. Even if it's a home game, I don't think that Dortmund are the favorites in this match. So having 2 losses in a row, for example, would just hurt your standing in the Bundesliga. I mean, right now Dortmund are 7 points away from 5th place. And that's a nice cushion, but, we just got knocked out of the Champions League, and maybe we should at least retain the chance of being knocked out of the Champions League like that next season too, instead of playing the Europa League. I mean, it can always happen that Wolfsburg and Leipzig have some miraculous comeback, and then, you look a little silly. So, not in the context of a title race, I think this is super important. Obviously it is, but I think just in general, and just for me being in a good mood, it's also very important. So, Konstantin, that all being said, I'm not really sure what the lineup from Dortmund is going to be, because I'm going to do a lot of things, because I'll play Nico Schulz from the beginning again, and I'm also not sure if I would start Reinier again. So the problem is options are very thin right now, because of course Torgen Hazard is out with COVID. That is a very painful loss, as we've just found out, and I think he would be a player that's really helpful against Wolfsburg. So I'm not entirely sure what the lineup will be, or who will even be available, because maybe someone picked up a knock or an injury in Lisbon as well. It wouldn't surprise me awfully if, for example, Bellingham needs a break or so. So any changes you foresee, and if not, please give us a prediction maybe.
Yeah, I guess Henny might be dropped, although I don't really know who will replace him.
Probably Can in midfield. Sure, maybe. I would do that rather, actually, than have
Can.
I would play Can instead of Reinier rather. I don't.
Or maybe Tigges. I don't know. Then Man has to play on the winger. Maybe Can, or maybe Dahoud.
I don't.
Dahoud might be.
I don't know if Dahoud can start yet.
I hope so. He has to, please. Okay. I'm not sure about the fitness situation, but maybe. I mean, if Dahoud can play, he should play. Maybe Can Arise. Or maybe, I don't know, Henny wasn't really convincing. Maybe Ansgar Knauf Might be an option actually, because he can also track back on the left side against Riedle Baku. So maybe Ansgar Knauf playing against Baku to have at least someone who's intense.
Here's the one Ansgar Knauf argument I actually didn't make for the Sporting game, but wanted to make because he has played a quarterfinal against Man City and wasn't half bad, but also if you think bigger picture, I don't think Ranier was going to explode in this game one way or another. And this guy, Ranier, is going to be gone either, next month or 6 months later. And it's going to be dubbed a failed loan because that's what it is. Meanwhile, Ansgar Knauf is actually someone who you can develop, and maybe if there's some upside, you can gain from it in the long term, unlike with Ranier. So obviously, there was a game where short-term thinking should have prevailed either way, but still, if we have to pick between Ranier and Ansgar Knauf, then I'm going with Knauf, even though I think I heard Rose mention at the press conference after the match that Ranier trained really well, for whatever that is worth.
Yeah, it's alright, but you make a good argument. That's kind of how you have to view things. Like it's the same in defense. Pongracic is only there as a lone player. If Zagadou gets better, or maybe Nnamdi Collins, gets better in the second half of the season or something, you should try to play your younger prospects who are there, who will be with the club in the foreseeable future. You can play, if Ranier would have been like kind of a big time addition to the offense. All right, do it, of course, do it. Why not? But it's not gonna happen, right? And also I think Ansgar Knauf is much more reliable when it comes to tracking back, playing defensively, doing kind of these duties, and so I guess I would favor him against Baku, as I said. So there you go. And like in terms of predictions, I guess it will be a nitty-gritty 2-1 win for Dortmund. So they will keep it alive, so to say, for the Bayern match, and they will keep it close because Bayern play against Bielefeld. I don't see Bielefeld spoiling anything at Munich.
Yeah,
so.
No, it's hard to imagine, to be honest. But it was also hard to imagine of Augsburg doing anything, and there you go. So anyway, I don't know. I think it's going to be a very messy game, and I don't know. I want to predict 3-2 for Dortmund, but then again, I wonder where Dortmund would score 3 goals from, so I don't know. It's a bit of a head scratcher, but I also don't want to predict a draw or a loss, so I'm just going to stay with that. And, I hope everyone else stays with us for the next 400 or so episodes. So, obviously this was episode 400. I'm afraid we couldn't do anything special, but, Dortmund neither didn't. So yeah, there's that. Konstantin, as always, I thank you very much for coming on and lending your expertise for this hour now. And of course, I want to thank Matthias and Lars, of course, also for being regulars on the show. And shout out also to Abel Mesheros and Adam Dorowski for coming on as semi-regulars. And with all that being said, you can subscribe to this podcast on YouTube's iTunes, Stitcher, Spotify, etc. And if you want to follow us on Twitter, you can follow me personally at Stefan Butzko. You can follow the Yellowwallpod at Yellowwallpod on Twitter and Facebook. And if you want to support us financially, go to patreon.com/theyellowwall if you either want to sponsor an episode or just want to chip in with $1. So that'd be very nice. And as always, thank you for listening, and we'll be back with a review of the Wolfsburg game and a preview of the Bayern game next week. Until then, stay safe and goodbye.